Hey everybody, welcome back. This is the second episode in a series where we're literally remaking my personal website. I've never done this before. It was really interesting to complete the first episode and review it and edit it and look at the changes in assumptions that I went through as I was just kind of going through the discovery process. I think the discovery process is kind of the most important part of designing, right? When you think of a designer, you probably think of somebody who's good at making beautiful things or making even usable things, right? But that's actually not the case, right? The difference between a good designer and a great designer is, can they think? Can they think about the problem? Can they identify the problem, right? Can they identify that which needs thinking about? It's so easy to look at the cool thing of the day, the new trend or the new pattern or the new framework or whatever, and say, yeah, that kind of fits what I'm trying to accomplish with this project. Maybe it'll work, and kind of just go about trying to muscle things in together. But the difference between somebody who's going to really make a great experience for his or her users, the difference between a good designer and a great designer is somebody who can think about the problem, think it through before the visual and the UI and all of that work even starts. The designer has identified, like we did in our last video, the designer has identified who is the owner, the client, the owner of the project, and they've identified who is the audience of the project. And having these two identifications, they can then determine what is important to each of those parties, and then after through all that discovery, bring what they know and all their skills to bear on finding a great solution that meets both of those parties' needs, right? So that's kind of I guess, I didn't plan on that, but that was a review of last week's episode. And that's what we did last week, right? We went through the discovery process and we discovered a lot about who I assumed would be the audience for my own website, and then thinking them through and thinking out loud, I actually narrowed it down a lot tighter. And I think that's gonna bear a lot of fruit as we go along. In the last video, we spent a lot of time going through the discovery process, and we came out with what I think is a pretty solid content strategy, right? Those values, those things that I feel that I can offer people on this website. Now we want to focus on giving that content a home, and we're going to start by doing wireframes. Now, I usually do wireframes with just, a good old-fashioned pen and a notebook, but I generally tend to stay away from digital wireframes entirely. I have a really strong distaste for them, but maybe that's just me. The purpose of my wireframes are to give myself a good direction for the experience that my visitors will have when they're visiting my website. Now, because I'm in charge of the copywriting and the visual design, I can take all these three elements, right? The content, the UI, the visual design, and build them up all together in tandem, because I really feel that they start to inform each other as you go, and I think that's a big benefit that we have. In your project, if you're not responsible for everything, you may not want to do it this way. I know some agency-trained people who really prefer to have all the content buttoned up before they even start designing. But I have the luxury of flexibility because I'm doing it all myself. So I got my notebook, and I got a pen, I got my brain. Let's hammer out a few ideas. Okay, before we start wireframing, we want to keep in mind the features that we outlined in our last video that we wanted on the homepage. So I'm going to write them down here on the left side so I make sure that I don't leave out any one of those parts. So we had the about, excuse my handwriting, we have YouTube, we have mentoring, we have the articles, we have Vine, and design, then notes, and that's the newsletter. And after that, podcast, and then finally, a way to contact. Now, the design that we're going to be wireframing here needs to accommodate these content sections or content types, or at least links to different pages on the website, depending on how we want to architect the design, where this content can be accessed, right? So that's very, very important to keep in mind. Now I'm going to start wireframing on the right side. Now you notice that my notebook is really small. It's just a little small guy right here. And I'm not using a big, fat, heavy marker. Some people like to use those fat markers and, whole sheets of paper and make really big wireframes. But personally, and this is just me, you guys can do whatever you like, but I feel more comfortable making these small little thumbnail drawings. And I like them because you don't have to focus on details. You just make a lot of quick ones. What I'm thinking about right now is I'm looking at all these different content. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 different content types. And I'm certain that I want this to work on mobile as well. So I'll just start right there. Usually when I'm doing a web layout, I'll just draw 3 parts of a rectangle. And I used to draw, I've explained this before, I used to draw the bottom rectangle, but I don't do that anymore. And the reason is the websites that we design these days are infinitely long, right? So I'm going to need more length if I only get to about YouTube articles and Vine, and I have to draw more boxes and I've crossed them out. Anyway, so the 3-sided rectangle here, I'm just going to start at the top. I want to have my logo here. Actually, my logo is a little box, but either way. And then, it might be interesting just to have a really, really simple, just a 2-column grid, but these are these boxes that have a simple label on them. Maybe they're different colors. And then when you roll over them, maybe they do something interesting using different types of animations and reveal different content underneath. Maybe it's in the case of the articles, it would be a few articles and then a see more button or something. In the case of the design, it would be a few thumbnails, whatever, just moving along. The next one, how about we take, let's do the same 3-sided rectangle, and we'll throw the logo up in the corner, and we'll have a menu that's the hamburger style. And this would be interesting actually if we did a full header video, because I happen to know a little tiny bit about video production. That's a skill that I've gained in the past year. And then I could still do this kind of grid, but it would be also an interesting idea if we could mix it up a little bit more and kind of do it asymmetrically. So maybe this is the about. Maybe this is YouTube. Maybe this is mentoring. You know what I mean? You can just kind of carry that on. But the idea is there's either an autoplay video behind here, or just a ghosted image with a big play button, and then it could be hey, what's up, bro? I'm Travis. Do you even Jade? Let's keep going. I really like this idea of a big video, so let's do another 3-sided rectangle, and I like that big video. But instead of doing this really slab heavy boxes, we could architect the design of the content down here to be a little bit more conventional, right? Maybe you would see at an agency, right, where they'd have the 3 hero, right? This is about, and there's a text box there. And then if I'm into, actually we have something interesting going on where this and that and that and that. These ones here are all about teaching, and that one is about the work that I do professionally. It's kind of like an introduction, and that's an action, a CTA. So what about if it was like about me and then teaching, and then like those different ones here, like links to different pages or something, and then design. And that's like maybe like a grid or, something like a gallery type of thing. And then a big contact button or something. Maybe a form. That's kind of cool. All right, let's go a little bit more avant-garde, and we'll say big, huge block. So it's like really heavy set text right at the top, and maybe it's going to be like this huge content area, which could be images, it could be like copywriting, but then we're going to have a navigation off to the left of that that's pretty understated and simple, but the understated and simple nature of it contrasted against this big heavy block here will kind of really help it to stand out. And it'll be like when you click on it, the content inside that could rotate and switch out for something. I don't know. Now let's keep moving. That's interesting. All right, another three-cornered rectangle. I love those three-cornered rectangles. Here's a really interesting idea. What if it was like a big splash image, and then we had these kind of angles coming down, but out of the angles was, okay, here's a logo, and then the splash image is behind it. It's kind of like ghosted or tinted. But then out of the angle, maybe like shooting at an interesting direction, are like navigational items, and they're in this like little crease. Maybe they could slide around. Oh, maybe they're actually, and you like hover over them and they slide out. But they would reveal, like in this bottom part could move in and out, and it would like, here's the title of this section, so it'd be like YouTube, but it would be like cut off here, like this kind of, maybe it has a heavier shadow or something like that. And here's some content, and then like a CTA here. A CTA, this is a call to action. That's what CTA means. A call to action is always going to be the most important thing on the page. A call to action is going to be a button, it's going to be a submit form, it's going to be a buy now, it's going to be a contact me. It's going to be that call that you give to people to perform an action. Every time you design a web page, you want them to do something with it, right? If you design a web page that they just visit and look at and then leave, well, you've lost the game. That's a failure. So making space for these call to actions is pretty important, and I know that I didn't do that over here, but well, actually I did. Right here would be a call to action. Within there, the contact is a call to action. Each of these would be a call to action to change out the section, and then like in each section it would be like, depending on the content of it. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out. I just thought about it right now. Call to action. Let's try another one. Let's go back to, right now we have this sidebar and a logo at the top. And right now we have navigation down here in this strip. But what if like each of these big areas was like partially obstructed text. Like, like about, and it's like halfway covered. YouTube. and so forth and so on. All right, let's try another one. Wonder if I'm zoomed in enough. Is that better? I'm zoomed out too much. The other ones, maybe. Okay. What if? Okay. What if we took this kind of like narrative of these different things that I'm offering and kind of like put them in like a timeline, if you will, like make like a sequential kind of situation where we're starting. We have my logo here. And then we're going down, and that's the about, and then this is like the YouTube, and I could have like a YouTube logo in there, and then down here is, I don't know, mentoring, and then like when you hover over whatever it is, have like a really like an interesting hover state. You would grow, or like some kind of decoration would happen, and then when you let's cut the page right here. Sometimes you can just do this, and it will, this cutting here signifies that, it's either in a different state of the same page or it's further down the page or whatever. But let's say you've clicked on it, so it's in a different state now. This timeline that we're designing could like slide over, right? So now it's coming from the side, right here, and whatever's in it, and it's like made a box or like a flag unfurled, like floated down like this, and let's see what's in these things. This is the sign up for the newsletter, so these are the notes. And explaining more about the notes here. And then here's the next section, and then on. And then if you click it again, they would move back into the center or whatever. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? I'm just asking a camera. But anyway, that's cool. I like the idea of, taking the time instead of being like, here, hit you in the face with a bunch of options, or here's like a bunch of. This is interesting, and it's different from those in the way that it kind of steps you through the process of understanding. Because, we've stated that the goals are for me as the client to be able to convey what I do. And what I do right now, and what I'm trying to develop my personal brand to be, is that of somebody who offers help. I want the Travis brand to be somebody that can, either through dev tips, teach you how to design and build websites, through my mentoring, give you like career guidance and advice, or through the notes, like a weekly bit of inspiration or thoughts or anything like that. So I like this idea of like stepping you through the process of what the Travis brand is. I like that. Let's work with that a little bit. I just had a good idea. Right now, the website kind of looks like this, and then it has this line down the side. Here's the logo. It's a TN. It's got like a slogan here, and then in the middle of the page is this navigation, right? Currently it's like articles, notes, design or work, and then like there's a contact at the bottom. What if I kind of kept this bar? Because I've always kind of liked that bar. And also I like the idea of not having to redesign the whole brand, but just kind of realign it to a new way of thinking. And I could take, in the same way that I'm stepping through a story here, I could step them through like a literal story of, I'm just thinking about that, but like a literal story of what the Travis brand is. So for example, I could be like, hey, I'm Travis, what's up? Here's my face. And then like, I also do YouTube. Here's a YouTube video, and talk about YouTube. And like maybe there's this arrow going from one section to the next, kind of just like stepping you through. And this is a continuous sentence, like so like leaving off, trailing off sentences. The next one is what is it? YouTube, and then mentoring. Okay, so like mentoring. Let me just draw. I know this is going to be a long one. Okay, so the next one is like mentoring. So it could be like telephone. I don't know. Oh, how about like faces of people that are saying, like testimonials, because I've been getting testimonials from people that I've mentored and stuff. And like you need those CTAs, right? So like watch dev tips. And then like this could be like, set up a call. CTA. And then that's cool. And then after that, what is it? The articles? Is that right? Mentoring, articles, Vine. Articles could be interesting too. Right now I have that kind of like a what's it called? Masonry, jQuery masonry kind of grid. But, what if I just like had the description of the articles, and then the see more CTA, and then it was like, here's the like most recent 3, right? And then they've got images here, and if you hover over them, they do some type of action, and you can see like the title of it or something. I don't know. And then you got the arrow, The arrow here, point to the next section, which is Vine. So the Vine is easy. You just put a Vine right there, right? They have their embeds. And you go, I can do Vines. And you're still talking. I got that mixed up. And what else is there? This is fun. I think this is good. Vine design, and then notes, and then podcast. Design is easy, right? Like I just want to kind of showcase that, because I don't even keep my design on my website. I keep all my design work on Dribbble and Behance. So I'll just put like Drib and Behance, just like a grid basically, right? Just like it's a gallery. And I have to cut off the page right here and start it right here. Okay, so I've cut off the page and it's starting again up here. Isn't this awesome? With sketching, you just go so fast. Look at it, I've just really developed this really good idea, and each of these things gets its own unique layout really quickly. Let's see, Vine is cool. Dribbble, Behance. What's next? Is it Notes? Notes and podcast. So Notes is going to be simple. I mean, that's going to be just a sign-up form, right? So name, email, sign-up form, and then maybe like some explanation of what the notes are for. And that's the CTA right there. And then what was the next? Podcast. Maybe it's got a picture of me and Los, and like our heads are cut out, like cartoon, like Itchy and Scratchy. It looks like little sunflowers, but anyway, and it's like, listen to Trav and Los late nights at Trav and Los, and then like maybe like somebody wrote a review about it. I don't know. Okay, and then the last thing is just contact, right? Yeah, okay. Contact, I don't want to have a form on my website. I think I'm just kind of getting past that stuff. I just want to have my email. Just a really big link, like a huge chunky email link. I think this one has a lot of meat in it. I think there's a lot that can be done with this idea, and I really like the way that the narrative it's basically a sentence, right? So like on my current website, my about page says something like Travis is trying to grow up, and then I could be like, Travis is trying to grow up, but he makes YouTube videos instead, and does phone calls with people, and designs things, and like kind of that's how I could use that idea of a sequential narrative to take people through. This is pretty cool. I'm excited. Maybe I'm like saying things over and over again, but this sounds pretty great to me. And you guys can't see my face, you can just see my finger. So this is like a happy dance. All right, well, welcome to the rest of the garage. But, I mean, there we have it. With just like, 20 minutes and a notebook and a pen and just a few thoughts, you can quickly generate a few ideas, and some of them were pretty good. And I think that I'm gonna go into Photoshop using this last one as my starting point. And even in Photoshop next week, you'll notice that I'm not going to be just like following this weird wireframe that I made in 3 seconds, but I'm going to be like using it as a guide to work through ideas. So the designing is not done. The concept is not done. It's just refined, right? So it's kind of like making a sculpture. You have this big block of is this focused? You guys are seeing like the gross part of the studio. Anyway, you have this, it's like making a sculpture. You have this big block of unrefined granite, right? And as the ideas become more and more clear to you, you're chipping away first big chunks of bad ideas, right? Is this, like in the last video we discovered, is this website supposed to be for promoters? Is it supposed to be for potential employers? I thought it was, but we just chipped away those bad ideas, and large chunks are falling off of this statue or the sculpture. And I'm using these other wireframes to chip away other bad ideas, and these are smaller, more nuanced bad ideas, and they're falling down. And and even this right here, the one that I like the most, it's probably a bad idea. And as I go into Photoshop, more of those details will begin to crumble away, more of the bad ideas will begin to crumble away and reveal more of the good details. And even then it won't be finished, because even as we move into doing coding and publishing, it still won't be done. And I think that's the beautiful thing about design, is that it doesn't need to be done. It doesn't need to be complete. It just needs to be better and better each time. And that's like this iterative kind of process of design that I really enjoy. So anyway, next week we are going to take this design and breathe life into it, bring color and context into it, by using visual design. I'm going to take you through step by step and how I use Photoshop to design. I'm not going to rush through it like the last series I did, where I just did like a sound montage or something, like a speed design. Like it's probably going to be a long video, maybe a few hours long video. I don't know. Depending on how fast I can make something workable out of this. But I want to show you guys the keystrokes that are involved. I want to take you through a few of the weird, tricks that I know, or how I resize images, like all the shortcuts, everything. I really don't want to skip on that because that's been one of the most requested things in the comments for a very long time. Travis, can you show us how to use Photoshop or how you use it to do your designs or something like that? So anyway, I had a really blast. I had a really fun time. I'm babbling if you can't tell how excited I am about this new design. I've been holding off on doing this kind of exercise work until we can record it, even though I've been wanting to redo my website for a while. And so that's why I'm so excited right now. Like this is happening. We're doing it. And so next week I'm gonna do Photoshop and I'm gonna make something beautiful out of this weird black and white sketch that we just did. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week, and keep on wireframing. Hello, welcome to the end of the show. I just want to take a second to thank these people here. These are the names of the people who support the show via Patreon. Not only do the people who are in the Patreon community bring you dev tips every week for free, but they also enjoy other perks like dev tips chat, extra videos, and even a private Patreon podcast. To learn more about what we're doing over there, there's a link in the description below, or just visit patreon.com/devtips. I would love to have you join us, but if you're still unsure, here's something somebody said recently about their membership in the community. Thanks again.